Hi and welcome back to Joe Talks Cars and welcome to another video. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, you'll know I have a Porsche Cayman 987, but it's currently suffering with bore scoring, so it's going into the garage in the next 3 weeks. I have tried to keep the content up with that car, but you can't really be driving it around and totally ruining it before it goes in. And I certainly don't want to kill the cats with all the oil that it's burning. So what I've managed to do is borrow this amazing little Polo Blue GT. I've got this car for the next few weeks to commute to my new job, and I thought I would do a little review on it today. It's quite an interesting little car, and it's not something that's very well covered on YouTube, so I thought it would be a perfect chance to get out and talk you around it. So this is the VW Polo Blue GT. It's a 1.4 litre turbocharged engine with 148 horsepower. It's got the system similar to what you get in Audi RS6s. It's got the active cylinder technology, so it can deactivate half its cylinders and just run on 2 cylinders for maximum fuel efficiency. Not only that, but 148 horsepower in a Polo. It's quite a lot, and it is quite a nippy little thing. It's no GTI, but it's close, and it's got the economy of a diesel. In terms of styling, it's got a redesigned front bumper unique to the Blue GT, Blue GT badging, and also lovely gloss black grille. Round the side, it's got 17-inch alloys and it's got deeper side sills. The rest of it is more or less the same as what you get on a normal Polo, but it has got a little spoiler similar to what we've got on our Golf GTI. It's got a nice diffuser similar to that on a Polo GTI, and it's got twin exit exhaust pipes. Overall, it's a really good looking car. It's like a Polo GTI, but it doesn't shout about it. The only thing I think it's missing in terms of styling is rear window tints. I really do think it lets it down not having tints, especially on a black car. Inside, it features Apple CarPlay, it's got cruise control, and it's got these gorgeous sort of sporty seats with blue and silver accents down each side, and I think it looks really, really nice. It's a really nice place to be, and I know that's a cliche, but it is genuinely nice. Like I said earlier, the only thing I think it is lacking is rear window tints. I haven't driven a car without rear window tints in so long. It looks really weird when you're driving along and you look out the rear window and it's all white. It's kind of weird. But other than that, I think it's a great little car, and I'm really looking forward to using it over these next 12 weeks. But I think what we should do now is take it out on the road, because that is where this car comes into its own. It's a really quick little car and it's great on fuel. So let's get in, have a little drive, and I'll tell you what it is like to drive. Right, so if you're a regular viewer of this channel, I do apologise about how kind of non-Porsche related this actually is, but I can't just keep doing reviews on the same car. I can't keep doing things with the same car, especially as it's broken. So in the meantime, I'm going to try and mix it up and trying to bring a few more people to the channel. Porsche content will obviously be a major feature. So if you're new here and you're interested in seeing car reviews, but specifically Porsche ones, especially a Porsche rebuild, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. So anyway, here I am in the VW Polo Blue GT. As I said earlier, this is a 148 horsepower, 1.4 litre Polo. It sits just below the GTI and is an absolute blast to drive. It's got active cylinder technology like I spoke about earlier. And what that does is it shuts 2 cylinders down, saves fuel, and to be honest, you can barely tell that it's happening. The only indication is on the dials themselves, it will actually come up saying Eco, so you know it's dropped down to 2. And if you really do listen out and you've got no music on, you can sort of hear it. It reminds me of like a 2-cylinder rattle you get from like a Fiat. But overall, it's an absolutely amazing little car. Now these cars new were quite expensive. This would have cost around £18,000, which is quite a lot, but it is significantly cheaper than the Polo GTI, in which it is quite closely related to. Now you can pick one up for between 8 and 9 grand, and I think as a daily driver, an everyday car, which is not only fun and engaging, but also very cheap to run, I'd say you're not really going to go far wrong. I've got this car for the next 12 weeks. I'm going to really enjoy getting to know it and understand what it's actually like when you show it some twisty corners. This car is averaging around 50 to the gallon, and it's not being driven overly gently. I mean, it's not my car, so I have been looking after it, but again, it should achieve around 60 if you're really careful, and I don't doubt that that is possible. I can imagine it can be done. This car is also fitted with VW's XDS, or electronic differential for most people. So it's like a limited slip differential, but it's run by electronics rather than a mechanical diff, so it is fairly effective, and when you chuck it into a bend too quickly and accelerate hard out of it, it does actually hang on quite well, so I'd say it's working really well. In terms of the ride quality, It's really nice, it's supple, it's quite firm on these sort of 17-inch wheels, but it's not uncomfortable, and it's a lot more comfortable than my Porsche. Easily live with it day to day, and to be honest, I do actually prefer a firmer ride. I don't really like cars that wobble all over the place. It's comfy, but I'm not really a fan of driving them. The steering is quite nice, it's very light though, but it is precise, and I think for an electronic system, it's fairly good actually. I think one thing with this car that I've come to realise is it's not a hot hatch. That is one thing it isn't. It's a warm hatch, if that's even a thing. It can be a thing. It's warm. It's fairly quick, but it's not rapid. And it's quite fun, but it's not that amazing. I think it's a car that you appreciate for how brilliant it is. There's not many cars in VW Audi Group's range that have the cylinder deactivation technology, and that in itself is quite amazing for this price point, and it really does work amazingly. Apparently it can drop from 4 to 2 cylinders in just 14 milliseconds, which is incredible. So the technology is fantastic, but it's probably lacking sort of, I don't know, some sort of emotion. It's quite clinical, and I know I come from driving a Porsche, so you just say, well, Porsches are quite clinical, and they are. So it's that's probably all that is. The interior is also a really, really nice place to sit. I know it's a cliche to say that it's a nice place to be, but it really is. It's really, really nice. These seats are quite supportive, and the trim, the blue trim on them, I really like. It's just the same as what you get in a Golf R, and I think that's quite cool, isn't it? It's really quite nice. It's packed with features. It's got Apple CarPlay, which I don't have in either of my other cars, so I've been enjoying using that. It's also got cruise control, it's not got heated seats, and these vents, I can't stand them, to be honest. That's one thing I really dislike. You just can't seem to aim them correctly. They're just, nah, they're rubbish. Other than that, the build quality inside the cabin is as you'd expect from a VW. It's absolutely incredible. It's really well made, everything feels solid, and it doesn't feel like it's going to snap off. Amazingly, some bits feel like they're straight out of a Porsche, because Porsche just share the VW parts bin for parts. So yeah, a lot of it is Porsche stuff, which is quite nice, or a lot of things in my Porsche are VW, whichever way you want to look at it. Now, one of the main reasons why you would choose this Blue GT over a GTI or an equivalent car is the running costs. And as I said earlier, this car will do around 60 to the gallon, but it also costs only £20 a year to tax. Compare that to my Porsche at over £500 a year to tax. This is a positive bargain, and it's probably something that I should be driving rather than a Porsche, but here we are. I just find that this type of car is not very well covered on YouTube, so I thought it would make sense to do a video on it. And like I said earlier, I can't be doing videos constantly in my broken Porsche. I've got to get that fixed before I continue with making lots and lots of videos. Hopefully the audio quality has improved on these videos. I've been working really, really hard on it. I think I've got it somewhere thereabouts now. It's the biggest challenge I've had on YouTube, is getting my audio quality spot on, and I think I've managed to achieve it somehow. Like I said, if you're new here and you want to see more videos on reviews on cars and with a specific focus on Porsches, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below on what you think of this video. I want to hear good comments, and I want to hear constructive criticism as well. I'm only trying to improve my channel, and I think I've got to branch out into other cars now to try and sort of build the channel and build my audience. There's only so many people that want to watch a Porsche Cayman 987. It's quite niche. It's a big niche, but it's still quite niche, and I really want to build this channel and hit 1,000 subscribers. So in terms of rivals for this car, I can't really think of many rivals, because it does two things really well. It's really sporty and fun to drive, but it's also super economical. I mean, it's as economical as a diesel, and it's got enough power to keep up with sort of a BMW 320d. So what cars could you actually choose instead of this one? You could, for the same price point, you could look at a Fiesta Z-Tech S, but that would be slower and worse on fuel. So that wouldn't really be a competitor to this. You could look at a Mini Cooper, but to get the same power, you'd need to look at the Cooper S, and the road tax is higher and it's worse on fuel. So this car, I believe, is in a niche of its own. It does something that no other cars in this segment do, which is a sporty car, which is really super cheap to run. And I can't think of a car that rivals that. The other car that I thought of possibly would be an Audi A1, but again, they're just so much more expensive, so you're going to pay a lot more for it. They probably do have a similar engine in those, and I'm not really entirely sure, but they probably have a similar engine. But yeah, I just think this as an all-round package is a fantastic little car. Next week I'll be taking it on a road trip up to Scotland, so straight through the Highlands, Glencoe and everything, so it'll give it a good chance to see what this is like on a long journey, and crucially what MPG we get. I believe it's got enough power to have it to be really fun, as well as probably do the whole journey on a single tank, which is something I've never managed before. So in conclusion, I would say this car is an absolutely brilliant choice. It's perfect if you've got a really fast sports car and you're wanting something to daily drive that is not slow. Often we think of daily drivers as something fairly rubbish, fairly slow, just so that it's cheap to run and insure. But I think with the Polo Blue GT you can have best of both worlds. I do believe you can have a sporty and fun car, but also cheap to run. It doesn't stand out that much, so I think you could park it places and no one would give it a second glance. Our Golf GTI is a brilliant car and it does blend in quite nicely, but it still stands out a little bit too much for parking in places that are a little bit dodgy. I think that's where this car really shines. It's the perfect daily driver. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's been a little bit different to what I normally do, and it's been a little bit more sensible. Hopefully not too boring, and hopefully some of you have enjoyed it. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're a returning viewer and you've made it this far when you're only interested in Porsches, well done. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.